Hi, and welcome to another Woody's Tapestry. And these are my seeds for thoughts. Here at Woody's Tapestry, we like to put things together. You know, like a tapestry, how you weave it together, that sort of thing. And I say we because I couldn't do this without you. And before we get started, I want you to hit your subscribe button, ring my bell, and give me a thumbs up. And leave all the comments below. I appreciate you guys when you have the comments. Now that I got that out of the way, let me get started. Today's topic is a good one. It's from a piece that I wrote called A Seed of Greatness. But that's another show, and I promise you we'll get back to that. But for now, let's get started for the topic of the day, or with the topic of the day. What are you going through? And better yet, what's going through you? What would you think if I say to you, today is tomorrow's yesterday? Let me repeat that. Today is tomorrow's yesterday. Now here's my follow-up question to that. Which of these realities do you live in? The past, the present, or the future? Sounds confusing, don't it? I know, but life is kind of like that, isn't it? Look at the picture that's behind me for an example. Well, one is the logo, and the other one is just, well, let me just say for right now, just represent how life is, because life kind of have all of us going around in a circle. Think about this. Things pass through us all the time, and most of the time without us even knowing it. This is how so many seeds get planted into our psyche. Does it really matter? Sure it does. But this is a question you have to ask yourself. But let me caution you. Before you answer the question, you need to question the answer and then answer the question. Because one thing for sure, if you're living, you're going to be in one of these realities. I had a friend one time that used to say to me all the time, he said, you know, man, a mouth will say anything and a monkey will take money. I'd be like, what? What you talking about, man? Do your own research. Find out how the question rings in your mind and heart, and then you answer it with life. So I ask you again, what are you going through? And what's going through you? Do you understand the words that are coming out my podcast? Okay, never mind. Sorry about that. I got sidetracked. But the moment that you allow anything to enter into your personal self, it becomes a seed ready to grow. It's important to understand now the concept of how seeds grow or don't grow. Because the thing is this. Okay, I can hear it. I hear it now. I hear people like, you know, I can't grow. Well, let me just say this. Can I just help you to something? All of us are farmers. Our body is one of the most fertile gardens on the planet. Look, like so many of you, I've tried to grow a garden. And let me tell y'all something. Leave the tomatoes alone. I'm just saying, okay? But let me make this perfectly clear. I found out I am not an expert on gardening by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do understand that if you plant a seed and if someone or something nurtures it, it will grow. And that same thing happens to the mind. Whatever you place in it, okay, it's like a seed. Like, for instance, let's just say you just take a seed of hate, or something a bit more complicated like love. Under the right circumstances, it will grow. And here's an example. If you constantly yelling and hollering at your children or your child and you're telling them how stupid or how bad they are, guess what? Wait a minute. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let me explain why I even use the analogy of the seed. But see, the body works and functions like a garden. Take your brain for an example. The brain has no control over what it's exposed to. That's our responsibility. All day long, that what we should be doing is looking at the seeds that's being planted into our mental garden. And some of them are just disguised, but they're really weeds, okay? They're not flowers, they're not plants that you can do. They just look that way. That's the way it is. However, these seeds, good or bad, still can affect your decision that you make. And one thing that every farmer knows, you have to keep unwanted seeds, which become weeds, from growing and taking permanent root. Like a garden, your mind needs daily care. Every day, you should be embracing life and doing something for self-evaluation, so you can remove those unnecessary seeds that have found their way into your garden. And to stay mentally healthy, that's a main thing right there, is staying healthy, knowing how to remove these things. We are constantly pulling these things up too. You never get finished with the job, but the sooner you pull them up, the better. When left unattended, anything will grow in your mind, body, and spirit. Now, the reason I pause there is because if you leave it unattended, meaning if you don't pay attention to it and you allow it to do its thing, it still will grow. And I can say this, or I can't say this enough. You are the keeper of your own space, and you must learn to manage life, because some seeds are not detectable until it's too late, because they look like good plants. And let me just say this to you. All of us must take inventory of the things that we found in our way of our ground, our fertile garden. And once we find something that we know that's not going to help us to grow, or that's not going to add to us, pull it up. So I just wanted to drop this little thing on you right now and talk to you about how to kind of look at yourself as a garden. But until we meet again, which will be next week with part 2, I just want to say peace and love.